Alright, welcome to RezoBiz, where it's all about dobros. But today I've got something that's even applicable, there's a big word for you, to, or for me anyhow, to guitars, maybe banjos on the neck, and mandolins, anything with binding. If you got binding that pops on your guitar, the way this one had, I want to show you just a couple quick tricks with some super glue, some tape, and the way you can just very cleanly, without destroying your finish or dribbling stuff everywhere, fix the binding so it adheres good, and then it's a very clean and simple fix. Hope this helps you. Hi, I'm Byrl with Byrl Guitars, and welcome to RezoBiz, where everything is greater with a resonator. Alright, so what I have here is a Regal Lightning. It was a black Lightning, and I say was because now it's burgundy, and it was my very first guitar, resonator guitar. And what I learned from this guitar, it's taught me a lot of things, and I've used it to learn different things. I've modified stuff, changed the color a couple times, learned how to strip a guitar, and that I never wanted to do it again, and that you have to be careful of binding and different things. And I learned that you have to be careful the way you hang them, and I've dropped this thing a couple times. Oh, it's just been through the ringer. But one of the things I got going on is the binding is popping loose. Now this particular thing, I think maybe the guitar has shrunk or something. I'm not sure, because I can't even if I press it in there, you see how it pulls away there behind my thumb. And so what I'm going to have to do for this video, I'm going to cut this, but what I want to show you is how to simply glue this back in. This happens. I've seen a guy happen to his Martin. I've seen other things happen. They get bumped and bondings just pop. I wish I had a picture of this friend of mine who took and put padding on his guitar and strapped the whole thing down with ratchet straps, and got it right on the binding part that was loose, strapped it down, not real tight, and then glued it with Gorilla Glue or something. I'm not sure, I don't remember. Laughed my head off, and he did it to be a little bit obnoxious about it. He did it on purpose to be, but some of it was he just needed to know, or he just needed to figure out a way to clamp it down. That's what he came up with, and he figured there was something easier. And later I thought, you know, there's definitely an easier way to do that, and I know of other people who've got binding that pops, so I thought I'll do this video. So I want to show you a couple just real simple tricks, and I'm going to cut this piece so I can get it to lay down that channel better. If I was really worried about the way this looked, I would actually take and get mahogany dust or a piece of sliver or something and fill in the gap behind it, but I'm not going to do that. Notice I cut it, and now the relief, look how little the relief is that it needed just to be able to lay down the channel well. And that's why I did cut it, and I could glue that down and sand it in, it'll be alright. But I'm not so much worried about that. As I just want to show you, you got binding popped loose, what it takes to just tighten that down so it's not loose and flopping around. It's not really as hard as you think, and if you got a super nice finish, you could get real messy if you do the glue wrong. And let me show you how simple that could be. Alright, I'm going to take this cover plate off real quick. You wouldn't have to do that, but I just want to pop it off. I noticed there's a bit of glare in the camera, and that'll make it simpler. These old guitars, I don't know if they still make them or not. They came with a beard, just a regular beard cone before they started doing the legend cone, or maybe they just didn't put the legend cone in. I don't know how long Beard's been doing it. But I use the beard cone in my guitars that I build. Boy, that thing's all rough shape. Like I said, I've done a lot of stuff to them. Isn't that an interesting inside to that guitar? It's not the round holes. These are actually squared and at an angle. But look how rigid that thing is built. It's very, very solid. And then there's just a 3-inch body, I think. It's interesting. I'm not real sure. 3¼ inch. 3¼ inch body, and my guitars are all over 4 inches. Helps with the tone for sure. Alright, so simple. How do we fix the binding? I'm going to put tape on it, and you might say, you didn't put any glue on it. I know. And that actually is the trick. I'm going to tape this down exactly where it needs to go and make sure it's good and tight. Let's see. Put a small piece right there. And the very important thing to making this work is a thin super glue. And you can get this I buy this at StewMac, but I can also get it from the hobby store, Hobby Lobby, or places where they would sell hobby cars and things like that, or like model cars. I don't know that you can get it at Walmart, but what's special about it is it's as runny as water. Let me demonstrate. Looks like I got a little. This has got a little tip on the end. I think it's glue stuck in it, but you see how it just is just runny. And so what you do, and I'm not worried about the finish on this so much, I'm not being super careful, but you just get a little bead on the end and you touch it right to that spot in between the tape, and it wicks in. And you want to try not to put too much, because if you put too much in, it'll wick in under the tape, and then it'll seep out onto the body. In fact, no, I didn't. But sometimes that happens when I'm actually putting binding on a guitar, and it wicks out there, and I got this kind of gluey mess to sand off. I mean, it doesn't matter; it's not painted anyhow. But let it dry just a few minutes, and then you can. Is it ready? Nope, not quite. Let it dry, and then you can take the tape off and finish just touching up where the tape was. But that you can do if you're real careful. Even on a nice finish, you can touch that, and you might just have a little bit of nasty stuff there on the edge. But for the most part, you can have a nice finish. Put that tape down, touch it with the real thin super glue, and that binding or that glue will wick right in there. It'll reattach it to the guitar. You take it apart, and it will stick. It'll be back to where it should be. I'm guessing. I'm gonna try it. Let's just see. Yeah, it looks like it's holding. When I take my tape off, I pull it. Just rip it straight off. You can see this is already peeling. So I pull it off kind of at a 45-degree angle, real tight. I lay it back real tight and pull it off real gentle so I don't tear anything loose. And if it does start to, I can see it, and I can try to be real careful in those particular spots. Alright, and so right here I can see I've got a little spot under the tape where it's sticking up. I'm just going to touch it with a little glue. I also, now on this guitar I would probably spray. You can get accelerator, and it's almost an instant dry. And on this, I've been rough on this guitar. In fact, what happened is I hung this up, and I leaned down to get something. I raised my head back up, it was hanging on a wall, and I knocked it off the stand, and it fell on the ground, and this is how the binding popped. This has been years ago, and I haven't even messed with it. But I thought I would fix it and do a video to show you. And then, of course, it needs a little tender loving care there. I got just a little spot here that doesn't want to hold down yet. I'm rushing it too much. So I'm just going to put that tape back. Wick it in. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but when I do that, the little drop goes on, and then you can just see it suck right in. If you drop a little bit of water or glue even on a paper towel, it'll just soak right into that paper towel. That's that wicking process, and it does the exact same thing in that crack. Alright, so you can see my binding, though not very pretty, especially the old finish, but the binding's holding, and it's not popped out anymore. There's a little bit of, you can tell where I cut it. I could sand it and smooth it up a little bit if I wanted to, but generally I've seen a lot of guitars where this one has just shrunk. This has been out, I had it out in a garage, and it wasn't, the humidity wasn't taking care of it. It wasn't in a case, and so I'm thinking the body's shrunk. I don't know what else happened to it, but the binding popped, and then when I was pushing in, you could see it would pull up somewhere else. But a lot of times I've seen the binding come loose, and you can just hold it in. It'll be perfect. You just need something to hold it there. So you just put a little tape on it, touch it with that thin super glue, and it'll hold just like this does, and you won't have to cut that. But I just did that for this thing. This is my first one, Regal Lightning, and everybody says, we can't hear it. We can't hear it. And so I said, well, I need to get me a different guitar. And at the time, I couldn't afford it. And so I thought, man, maybe I can build one. And I've been building them ever since. In fact, I never even kept one until number 43 or 7 or something like that. But I hope that helps. All right, well, very simple video. And a simple little trick right there to fixing the binding popping loose. I hope it helped. If it did, hit the like button, and watch out, subscribe if you haven't, and watch out next week for the next video. Thanks for watching.